can't beat Zillow straight up. I'm a mortgage company,
Yeah.
right? I can't beat Zillow straight up. But together, if people have the mindset of let's make the pie bigger, we
Yeah.
all can do it together. People are so used to meeting their physicians online right now that, like, if they're willing to meet their cardiologist, like, and trust the cardiologist with their heart surgery, why
Yeah.
exactly do they need to, like, have coffee with you? Like,
Yeah.
Zoom is good. People want to know the truth. I've lost so much money on some of my ideas that never panned out. But
Yeah.
when an idea hits, it feels so good when an idea hits and works.
How do you create a website that generates hundreds, if not thousands, of fresh leads every month? Well, in today's episode, we're going to unpack just that. Phil Gans out of Florida, who's a mortgage broker, has over 200 websites. And he talks about the specifics of what he's doing to SEO them and generate lead after lead to those inbound all the time. This episode and many episodes like it have been sponsored and brought to you by my good friend Andy Bovender out of the Carolinas. If you have a client or a friend, family member who's been thinking about making a move to or from the Carolinas, Andy and his team are the folks to call. They are the referral partners who are going to take care of them from A to Z. So with that, if you want to hang out with Andy and other really top performing agents, take a look at the Inner Circle group. There's a link in the description below. We get together 2 times a month. We talk shop, we share strategies, we help each other actually grow our businesses through our own individual personal learning. So if you want to get in on that, again, hit that link. And if you have a client moving to the San Francisco Bay Area, give me a call. I'm Sean Kunkler, and I'm also the host of this podcast. So when it comes to SEO, what's the one thing that agents just have to stop doing?
So I try to keep everything so simple, right?
Okay.
I do something called domain matching. And what that is I just want the domain www dot that's your answer.com, right? You always
Okay.
want it to be a .com. Don't get fooled by anything else than .com. This is the standard, right? So one of my biggest hits, for example,
Mm-hmm.
is www.hometownheroloanprogram.com, right? This is the number
Pretty
one
clear.
program in Florida.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's already just based on what you said. I already have an idea of who specifically is targeting and the problem it's solving.
That's exactly what you're trying to do. And I have over 200 of these
Holy geez.
websites.
Uh, And so are all of those focused in Florida, the Florida market?
70% in Florida, 20% in Texas,
Okay.
10% in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And that has been a really big hit. And this hit came from one of my biggest failures. And what that
Oh,
was is I had a bigger website at one time that everyone tries to do. I had a website called Make Florida Your Home. It's still going, it's a great website,
yeah.
but Google changed the way they search. You cannot beat Zillow straight up. It's impossible. Don't even try. But how you can beat Zillow is to become the mayor of your neighborhood. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
And I have owned all the down payment assistance programs in Florida and Texas and Massachusetts. I'm now going to start, for all the realtors that want to know, we will eventually start to figure out how to do this for real estate listings, right?
Mhm.
This will be next on our list. But it will not change our philosophy of domain matching. The biggest mistake that is made is trying to create these mega sites, right? Your name, and then you have all these subdomains and pages. That doesn't work. If they want that, they'll go to Zillow. And my
Yeah.
whole point is, if you have like a single page website, call it 94redwoodroad.com or whatever it is, right? You are much more likely to be number one on that than your name versus Zillow. And
For sure.
so that is something that I know that works because we're getting, almost 1,500 leads, great leads a month. And this has turned out to be a very big success. And
That's
we're
a
right.
huge amount of leads.
Yeah. And we are now the partner for the largest real estate company in Florida and number one in Texas. We have two great partnerships. And it's because we're a lead supplier. You're like, no way.
So I don't know if this is outside of RESPA. So I'll preface it with that. But if somebody's on your site wanting a loan, is it possible to have a box that says, I'm working with an agent, or no, I'm not working with an agent?
Well, that's a great question. So the way that we operate is that after we do the domain matching, we have a call to action and they'll
Yeah.
click the call to action and then we take them through a multi-step process.
Mhm.
And then one of the questions is, are you working with a real estate agent?
Which then it's a nurtured lead by that point. Like they're already teed up.
Yeah, and they're really good. And remember, these are exclusive leads. And you know what they want. That's the other part of this. If someone
Yeah.
is searching for hometown heroes, you know what they want. Hometown heroes. Imagine playing poker and you could see the other person's hand.
It'd make it a lot easier, wouldn't
It does.
it? I feel like I would win more hands.
You'd win a lot more. You don't even have to wear sunglasses or anything because you already have all the answers.
I'd be willing to bet the hardest part of your day isn't the work. It's the mental load. It's the decision fatigue. It's the shuffling of priorities while you're already playing catch up. You're checking off things from your to do list just as fast as they're getting added. And I'd also be willing to bet some of those meaningful business relationships you've had in the past have begun to fade. Ace Your Day is a physical deck of 52 strategic cards designed to halt fatigue. Refined by real world results, this system replaces chaos of a to do list with a curated set of high impact actions. It's simple: set a timer for 15 minutes, draw a card, and make your move. The deck handles the thinking, you drive the business. Building a secure business should not be a guessing game. Let's stop overthinking the day and trust a system that prioritizes connections and relationships. Let the deck handle the strategy, you focus on the results. Click the link in the description to reclaim your day 15 minutes at a time. Let's say with that site that's generating the 1,300 leads, what's the actual cost per click?
Great. So there's two types of marketing, inbound and outbound. When you have a website up, which is called inbound,
Yeah.
and outbound is when you pay Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Inbound, it cost me $0 per click because
And
once
so
I have
these
it up, right, I bought my domain maybe for 10 bucks. I made my content, $10 a year would be the answer.
That's insane. Like that's bonkers because it's pennies on the dollar at that point. Um, how so that's wild to me for starters. And so it's all organic search at that point.
100% organic, 0% paid.
Like if it's make Florida your home, which you said was it's kind of like fallen back. Is that because it's too broad? You're now trying to placate to the whole state and not a specific neighborhood within a specific zip
Yeah.
code?
Yeah, and Google changed the way search is. You gotta just play with what wins. I could spend up all night of saying why it doesn't work, or I
Yeah.
could just think of what works and just go there, right? Like I could go to a restaurant and say, "Well, the food isn't good, and here's a 10,000 tips to improve it," Or if I already have the magical ingredients, then it's so much easier to do simpler websites that are 2 pages and win than these mega sites. Now, Make Florida Your Home, I really love, and it's how I got started, and I learned a lot. And maybe there will be a comeback. But me hoping for Make Florida Your Home comeback would be like hoping Tom Brady is your starting quarterback for the Raiders.
It's possible, but maybe not in our timeline.
It looks good. He can sling the ball, but he ain't gonna do it. He lost on a flag football game, right? I mean, he lost to a guy that throws like my sister.
So, and to clarify and to help people who are listening, you're a mortgage specialist, and these sites are designed for people either seeking loans or refinancing, is what I would assume. Correct?
Absolutely. They're looking for assistance. And just to let people know the story, because people are going to wonder, does it work for real estate?
Yeah.
The first, when I first got the leads, I got the leads and I sent the leads to other realtors, right? And the other realtors, because they didn't have a relationship, would either not care or I'd end up losing almost all the clients. Okay. And
Yeah.
this was very sad. So that was phase one, right? So I
Wait,
went,
so let me pause right there. So the mistake was in the handoff, in the person receiving the handoff. I'm just gonna put it frankly, but they sucked. Like, they didn't have the system in place to support it? Is that
it
did I
was
hear you
that, and
correctly?
there was no loyalty to Phil Gans.
Oh, gotcha. So they would guide them somewhere else.
That, yeah.
Okay, okay. So it kinda twofold is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I mean, guide is an understatement.
Did those actually close? Meaning
Oh,
the
they
leads were
closed, just not with Phil Gans.
gotcha. So the leads were good. It's just
Oh, the leads were great. That was
the
phase
age
one.
the relationship, like, that agent just didn't. I'll just leave that sentence blank, but they
Yeah.
just didn't.
And then we went to phase two.
Okay.
And phase two, for full transparency, my wife is a commercial broker, right? She's a
Okay.
broker owner. She doesn't have any, didn't care about residential. She grew up in the commercial brokerage world since she was 18 years old. And that's what her focus is on, like, like storage units or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I said, hey, I need your help. And she has no interest. The residential clients are different than commercial clients, right?
They're complete like night and day different, yes.
Pickleball and tennis, these are just different clients, okay?
Yeah.
They are not the same. The guy that needs down payment and or first time home buyers is just not this, okay? These are
Yeah.
just different. And so I said to her, hey, I got all these leads. The issue that we had is that the leads, Florida's a big state like California. Their
Mhm.
leads were all over Florida, right? This was a
Yep.
big issue. And my wife, if you're a commercial broker, you could just do a lot of this over the phone or on Zoom if you're doing big deals. She was not going to leave her desk, right?
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, great. I've been doing mortgages since May 7th, 2001. And on that date when I started, you couldn't do DocuSign for mortgages. You would have to drive to people's homes and get them to sign it or FedEx.
Really?
So the reason what that was is we immediately looked for a solution. The solution was an app called Showami, Showami. It was basically like Uber for real estate, where you'd click a button and a showing agent would show up. You pay him like 30 bucks or 40 bucks, right? And this worked really well. So she had gone from like closing like I think like one residential deal to like 50 residential deals in 12 months. So it worked,
Hmm.
right? So you go from 1 to 50. So if there's an agent there saying, "Can it work?" Any agent can go from like it's very easy to go from like 1 deal to 50. She never left the house, by the way. You're like, "No
Yeah.
way." Yeah, right? Never left home. This is a very funny part of the story. Like I know you say, "Well, why refer it when you can make more money just doing, like, this app?" Right? And it was better because 2 things. 1, if you're an agent and you're referring it, you're losing more. 2, you want your best closer in front of a computer screen. If you're a good closer, you're a top dog, why would you wanna refer it to someone not as good as you? It's crazy.
And I'm gonna pause you really quick right there. I've run sales teams, and it's like we had a side conversation, and so you'll relate to this. But if you have a top surgeon who focuses on heart surgeries, why would you have them prep the room? Why would you have them book the appointment? Why would you have them do anything other than that one thing that they're highly, highly skilled at? And it drives me crazy when you have like an A plus amazing agent doing all this other stuff that's not the A plus thing in their category that's actually getting the paychecks. It is mind-boggling to me. And so your wife took the perfect strategy. Like, she knew exactly the lane where she was gonna thrive far greater, and it's cheaper to throw 30 bucks at somebody to get them to show up and open a door.
It was unbelievable. And
It's just
then
it's the smartest way to do it, period.
you know what the funny thing is? We couldn't believe that you could actually pay someone to, like, show houses for $30.
That's crazy. And all
We
they
were
need I
like,
mean,
we
legally,
couldn't
they just
believe it.
need a
We
license.
we Xiaomi was so cheap. We were like, we wonder if we could it was, like, less expensive than Uber Eats. You could send a realtor to pick up your food less than what Uber Eats and all the surcharges are. We were joking about this, but it's pretty close.
Yeah. It's just it's sad that
So
that's
I'll tell you
what it's
the
gone to.
evolution. So what happened was, look, I own a mortgage company, and you have responsibility as owner of the mortgage company to the LLC, right? And
Correct.
I need to scale up, right? If I'm going to try to close 1,000 deals or 500 deals or a crazy number, if I'm going to try to beat Zillow in Florida, which is the goal. So that is the goal. So people want to know. Then what I need to do is I need to partner, with the right real estate companies that are familiar with Zillow leads. And that's what I did. So I'm partnered with two big companies. One does 500 million, the other does a billion. And you know what? They're like so easy to work with. It's actually to work with a company that does $1 billion and get that guy on the phone, then it is the new agent that you're like, "Hey, can we get coffee with?" I'm like, "Yeah," because the big guy like understands, like, yeah, we can take these leads and scale and do all these.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, this is great."
Well,
Like,
you
it's
know the
so
old saying, right?
crazy to realize that the bigger you are, like you would think they're less available. It's like they're
Yeah.
actually more available. They're the most available I've ever seen.
Hey, friends, I have a small favor to ask. For me to continue to bring you outstanding guests who share their best kept secrets for growing a successful real estate business, please take a moment and hit that like button so agents like you can find this content. And also hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss out on any new episodes. Now, back to our show. Well, it's funny too. It's also if you need to have something done, go ask the busiest person you know, and they just get it done. But when you're talking about that caliber, the like Andy, my good friend Andy out of the Carolinas, he's got a 47-person team. If I call him right now, he'll answer, or he'll text me and be like, "Hey, I'll call you back in 5 minutes." It blows my mind to your point that how fast you can get that person on the phone. Versus I'm trying to lock down this agent who's local, and dude, it's like pulling teeth. And it's just like, you just don't want deals, do you?
And the only thing I'll say that, like, because I told them that we could use Xiaomi, they're not the Zillow people. And by the way, these mega teams, it's like I feel like it's like the Freemasons. It's like a secret society of big people. Like people have no idea. They're more loyal to each other than like even their own company. So there's like a Zillow, whatever. They have all these like mega teams that do like 500, a billion. They're basically like Zillow real estate, but they're under
Yeah,
like these other corporations, right? And you know, I see it. I see what they're doing.
yeah,
And I think that's what like drives me. One of the things is like, I want to like help out other agents and like try to win together because I can't beat Zillow straight up. I'm a mortgage company,
yeah,
right? I can't beat Zillow straight up. But together, if people have the mindset of let's make the pie bigger, we
yeah,
all can do it together.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree, like, you can't if you have a big vision to beat Zillow, it's 0 opportunity to do it alone, like, you cannot do it by yourself, it's impossible, you need to collaborate, and that's the other thing I would also stack on to that high performing agent who's done $1 billion in deals, they're also usually highly collaborative versus the agent who's done 2 deals. It's
Yeah,
weird.
I
And
I couldn't believe it. They're all sharing stuff. And you know what the
and
craziest thing is? Like these Zillow mega teams, they're going to like Las Vegas. I think it's in like September, August. They rent out like all these like big mansions and they put like all their people in there. They have a
yeah,
great time. They're literally sharing like every idea with each other to make their teams bigger.
yeah. Dude, so I took the bulk of the agents on this podcast, and I got them into a room 2 times a month, and that's exactly what we do. We're peppered throughout the US. We all talk about our best kept se like, "Holy shit, I did this thing and it worked like gangbusters. Here's how I did it." And then now it's like everybody gets to use it and leverage it. And then if everybody's doing that, that whole group rises up a level. Like
I
that's
can't believe it, you know?
I mean, that's the ultimate in collaboration. Like if you want a team, a high performing team, and the whole team is pushing each other, you have like an unbelievable team at that point. And I think it's just a better, smarter way to do things. Like, why
Uh,
would I not give you a secret? Like,
No,
why would I
that's the
need to keep
thing.
it?
Like, if you're gonna defeat it, and like the other thing, like I said, is that like that the only thing that like I have don't really have alignment with the super teams. The only one thing, and I totally get it. I
Yeah.
totally get it. Was using the app Xiaomi. Like,
Yeah.
I totally think because that makes you like a loan officer, right? But I get it why they didn't like that. They think I'm wrong, but that's fine. We can disagree. It's still the beginning of a relationship, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think like, and you're like, why? Because say you want to see a home, right? You could see 10 homes on a Monday instantaneously back to back to back to back and
Yeah.
more efficiently than you wasting your time. And the client doesn't care that if you want to drive there. Now, I see what people are saying. Well, I want to meet them the first time. I get it. But people are so used to meeting their physicians online right now that, like, if they're willing to meet their cardiologist, like, and trust the cardiologist with their heart surgery, why
Yeah.
exactly do they need to, like, have coffee with you? Like,
Yeah.
Zoom is good.
I think there's a lot of in all industries, we fall into the traps of how it's supposed to be. And then until somebody steps back and goes, "Wait, just because we've always done it like this, is it really supposed to be like that?" And then that person becomes the innovator. It's if you look at any big technology breakthrough or thought breakthrough of literally any category, it's like drive-throughs. Drive-throughs are common with coffee shops and ATMs, right? But prior to that, we didn't have them. Somebody had the idea to marry it, and be like, "Hey, why don't we just stick a window on the side of the building that people drive up?" And so I think, do I love the idea of the showing app and paying $30? Maybe, maybe not. It's like I would have to think about it for a minute,
But you
but
know who loved
it's
it?
innovative.
You know
The
who
client.
loved it? The clients. The clients loved it the most. That was the feedback. That's how I knew it was a winner. It wasn't about what the agents thought. That's irrelevant. The clients were like, this is incredible. The same way you feel about Uber. It's like me asking about Xiaomi to realtors is like me asking Uber, calling up a cab company
A
and saying,
cab,
what do you
yeah.
think of Uber? They're gonna be like, I hate you. This is
You're like,
terrible.
"It's a terrible idea. You need a medallion. That's the way it always works."
That's the craziest thing.
I
And you know, I'm like, you're like, well, what do you think? And I'll tell you something embarrassingly. When I studied abroad in London, I'd say, boy, it'd be great if there was an app that could just get me out of the stupid cab companies in London. Cabs are so expensive in London as a college kid.
Yeah.
I took one and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to walk from here on out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the people in the market never change the market. It's somebody from outside seeing it with a different lens who comes in and ultimately disrupts it. And it's the disruptors. And so if somebody can find the way to disrupt it, and not for nothing, but real estate structurally has been the same since 1908. Nothing has changed.
And I'll tell you
And
this,
it's
the other
crying.
reason why I liked it is obviously my wife is a woman, and it's very dangerous sometimes for these women realtors, right?
Yeah.
You don't know who's gonna like show up, right? Like, you just don't know. And there's a component of it. I was like, it's also safer for her,
Yeah.
right? You can meet on Zoom. There's a lot of crazy people, right?
Dude, it's crazy, man. And not for nothing, but like standing in open houses, obviously male. I have a black belt, and I usually have something on me. And I've been in situations in open houses when I'm like, this is sketch. Like it's a really weird situation to be in vacant homes, or you walk into a property you think is vacant.
You have no idea.
No
And
idea.
if you're I mean, like, look, if I'm a woman, I really like this app, and they're like, "But I gotta meet them." No, you can meet them on Zoom or this, like, they don't care. Like, if you just look at it from the Uber perspective and you took a poll, do you prefer cab drivers? And they're not losing it. It's just you're surgeons, you want to do surgery, you want to
Yeah.
negotiate. You're not losing the client, you're saving them time, they value time.
Yeah.
And, it's just, I know what works because I saw it, but
Yeah.
you're like, what do you think? Like, look, I'm getting more leads. I'm generating. We actually just got licensed in California. So I'm like, I got to figure out this California thing. But I'm
Well, we
like,
should talk. We should definitely have a conversation off air.
yeah, I'm like, can I generate California leads? Like, I have no idea, right? Like, part of me is like, can this get done? Can we
Yeah.
generate listings and leads? And I'm on it. Like, I'm already experimenting a little bit. Um, we're experimenting a little bit on it. I want to
Yeah.
get it down, you know, try it. Once I do, then we'll be like golden, and we
Yeah.
have fun.
I mean, not dissimilar from Florida. I would probably just take the parallel aspects of the areas that you're seeing the leads click through from, like zip code tracking, and then I would look for the similar. It's the cities are always gonna be saturated with the most competition, and so it's gonna be the I'm assuming the burbs outside of those concentrated areas for the lower competition.
It is. We're gonna find out. Like, I have no idea. Like, I always experiment. People want to know the truth. I've lost so much money on some of my ideas that never panned out. But
Yeah.
when an idea hits, it feels so good when an idea hits and works, you
Well, and
know?
I appreciate you say that because I think the thing that people forget about marketing and people listening to this is it's testing and evaluating. And you're just constantly testing, seeing what's working, what's not working, making an adjustment and going back at it. It's not, oh, this thing worked awesome for Phil. I'm going to put it up once, set it, forget it, pay my $10, never look at it again. I'm going to get 1,300 leads. Done. It's not like that. It's never, it just doesn't work like that. It's like you go in, you make these tweaks, you look at your numbers, you see what's happening. It's, it's not dissimilar from any sports team. If you watch F1, it's like you run the car around the track, you see what's working, you make some tweaks to the car, the design, and you go out and you try it again and you try to incrementally improve a little bit each time. And so if somebody's listening to this, they're thinking about building the site, they're wanting to SEO, you have 200 websites. I would be willing to bet that a lot of them were dogs in the beginning that took a lot of tweaking and adjusting. And I would also be willing to bet that probably only 20% give you 80% of your yield. And that's just like normal statistical
Yeah,
fluctuation.
and I'll tell you, our biggest hits, I'll tell you this, the way most people create websites, they go to like Ahrefs, SEMrush, Neil Patel, some tool, they look at the
Yeah.
data. The advantage that everyone has listening here is that our biggest hits have been our intuition. And you're like, "What do you mean?" You're like, "Yeah, it's been actually we've hit on the data, but
Be
the thi
specific about that. Like,
Yeah, okay.
like,
So
give me an
hometown hero
example.
loan program, the search volume before we hit was 0, okay? And I
Okay.
said, "I think this will be really good," right? So search volume would be 0. We said, "Well, this won't work because it's 0." I said, "Yeah, I think this is gonna be an answer." This is when we were developing our domain matching strategy, right?
Mm,
And so, yeah, that's it. Because like what happens is, especially in mortgages, because it's more regulated in real estate, but real estate's still regulated. Like a mortgage company, like is run by compliance. And all of the
right.
marketing people of mortgage companies have never done a mortgage. This is a fact. Their mortgage production is 0.
Right.
The mortgage loan officers are not really, they can't really do marketing, or they're not really allowed, or if they send it to compliance, and that's who runs marketing is compliance. So you always get like no, or you get like you don't get what you want to hear, or it's slow, right? Like, and like who knows better than you? And you're like an agent. And a lot
Yeah.
of agents are like, oh, our company has like great marketing. Cool, they may, but that
They
marketing's based on data, and that data they can't use their intuition because that person's not on the field. One of
yeah.
the like biggest things is why you need to be active in real estate is you get like intuition of like what's happening on the field. If you're not a
Yeah.
general in the field, you lose feeling of what's happening. And so they won't have it. I'm telling you, they'll miss, right?
Yeah.
They'll look at their fancy data, they'll be at some fancy university, maybe Harvard or Yale or some degree, taught for some professors of how to read data analytics. And so everyone else can read analytics. But my biggest hits have been like by far have been
Do
non-programmed, like let it rip, and we ended up being right. And by the way, the best hits have also been in music. Let's let it rip, right?
yeah.
Let's talk the best. When was Jimmy Buffett the best? When he was just letting it rip when he was living in Key West. Or any of
Yeah.
these people, once they get commercialized, it's hard. This is why people have a hard time. Like it's easy to have a first grade album, maybe a second grade album, which is half of your first album. But why most of the great bands never have 5 albums? Because
Been
that they lost the edge that made them great. They lost the intuition
yeah.
of they just said they become Elvis Presley. This is why
Yeah.
Elvis Presley, while he did become famous, he could have become so much more if he didn't get that his manager. What did they call him? The Colonel Sanders. I don't know what they called him, but
The
he like
Colonel, yeah.
he just became commercialized and literally fat, and he blew his career. It's like it's like what he could have been, never like
Yeah.
most of his career, he was a has-been.
Yeah.
And he had such a great chance to even though he didn't write all his music, he was so talented, he could have been the Beatles. He
S-
could have
s-
been. In fact,
s-
the Beatles idolized Elvis Presley,
Yeah.
and
He was huge.
he just
S-
never
Here's a
did
really
it.
this is really interesting on the same vein and same token. My trainer is a IFBB bodybuilding pro. And we were a couple of sessions ago, we were actually talking. They took a couple people, and one group, they only trained them scientifically, like scientifically timed their supplements, scientifically portioned their foods, timed their food, timed their protein intake, timed their workouts, did all this stuff by the science. And then they had this other group do the bro science of, what the other bodybuilders said, like, do this, this works. And then they had them do the whole cycle for a period of time. And then they weighed everybody's gains and changes. The the ones who did more of the intuition training of like boots on the ground had significantly more improvements than the group that was science, all pure science based. And so I think there's something organic that just needs to happen. And that's where AI is not dialed in. Like AI can't tell you the actual feeling you have around, like, when you build a strategy, you're like, "Ah, something just doesn't feel right about this," or, "Man, this shit is locked in. There's like, this is gonna hit. We just need to tweak it." I that there's a gap there, and I think there's a gap in the science, and I don't know what it is, but sometimes you just, as an entrepreneur, you just have to trust your gut.
Yeah, the biggest hits have been this, right? Music, sports, I mean, business. You
Yeah.
gotta just, sometimes you gotta just like let it rip, right? You
Yeah.
gotta just like let it go and trust what you're doing is gonna work. And even if people say no, you may be on the verge of a really big hit. And I tell people this.
I mean, look at all the greats in inventions, how many no's they got before they got to their yes, or how many failed perceived failures. Edison inventing the light bulb, there's like 1,000 before they figured it out. The Colonel Sanders, the chicken fried, the bread recipe, I think he went and pitched it to hundreds of companies and hundreds of rejections until one person finally said yes. And so, and that's, I think that's the point to all of this into marketing, is you just have to budget for experimentation. It's like, you don't practice on game day, you practice during practice. And a lot of doing marketing is a lot of practice. Like, you kind of build it, you see what happens. You make a tweak, you see what happens. You make another adjustment, you see what happens. And then you're like, "Oh shit, this works. Great, let's go all in now." And then you run with it. It's not dissimilar of people trying to create good content with videos. You try a different bunch of different stuff, one hits, great, copy that one. And then you keep going. It's an experiment. And I think if people approach these things with that same mindset, game changer.
That's why they call it DW40 because it took 40 times,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, the WD, yeah. Yeah,
right?
but yeah,
DW40.
exactly. It
That's
was the
why they call it.
40
This is
the
the 40th
40th.
one.
And funny enough, like, sticky notes,
Yeah.
that's not what they were designed for. That was a failure. It was a failed experiment that got shelved, and then somebody was like, "Hey, you know what would be really cool?" And then they resurfaced it, but it was basically a failure in another category until somebody.
You know what also was a big failure? Because my dad's a cardiologist. You know what else was a big failure?
Yeah.
It turned out to be a massive hit. Viagra. It was a cardiology drug, and none of the guys returned their medicine.
I wonder why.
My
They're
dad
like,
was a
"This is the
consultant
best."
for Pfizer. He's a cardiologist, and no one returned it. They couldn't figure it out. They were like,
Yeah.
usually if something doesn't work, Everyone returns it right away, next day, because they want to get paid. They'd rather have had the medicine. And every guy is like, yeah, forget it. We got like a year supply of this. Yeah, we don't
That
know. Like every guy was like, yeah, we lost it. We lost it. Like all of a sudden they're all like, how could every guy lose that? And yeah, it was really funny story.
that's hilarious.
Right? I mean,
Makes sense.
that is the ultimate story of, like, of what happens, you know? In fact, when my dad was working for Pfizer and that was happening, like, I don't know, he had, like, these ties, and, like, when they first had,
Mm.
they gave all this promotional stuff all the time, and I had the original ties of Pfizer with, like, the blue drug on it, and I'm like, this is a really funny story, and I threw them away. You're like, "Why?" I'm like, "These ties are losers," right? I'm like, "Oh, yeah, like, whatever." Like, why am I gonna wait this, like, failed thing? Like, and dude, do you know how cool, like, wearing these ties, like, would be? Like, this, like, were, like, awesome. They had these,
To the
like,
right party, I would assume.
yeah, they had, like, 3 different variations of this tie. They had a yellow with the blue pills, they had a red tie, yellow, blue, and then a blue with yellow, and it was, like, 3 colors. I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "These ties look so, like, awesome," and then, like, it became famous later, and I threw away the ties, and I'm like, "Dude, these ties would have been, like these would have been, like, definitely, like, awesome." This is, like, something you would have brought to, like, like, a pawn shop and gotten, like, Rick's
Crazy.
Vegas. Like, we have the 3 original Viagra ties.
Dude, so my friend's mom dated this computer engineer, and he lived with her for a time and would keep bringing home these projects to work on, but then, like, they just accumulated, and they wound up breaking up, and he left the stuff. Fast forward a handful of years, like, this is the early '80s. Fast forward a handful of years, he worked for Apple, and those were all ample Apple prototypes that she had collected and then threw them all in a dumpster. 'Cause she didn't like, it was before Apple really, like, totally popped, and she got rid of them all.
No way.
Wow.
That's sad.
Crazy. Dude, this was really fun, and I really appreciate what you shared, and I love the underlying thread, the spirit of just try stuff. Because I think people really wanna try to get stuff perfect, and I feel hearing that frees people up to actually just try it, and especially if your cost to invest is $10 for the website, get it up and running. AI is the cheat code, you can get something written
Dude,
you can have
one
something out
$10
in and out.
website, you get it up. It could make you could go, like you could be like the one thing I'll leave it like this is in baseball, you hit a home run, you can only bring in 4 runners. You can only score 4 points. In business, one swing of the bat, you could score 9,000,000 points. You could be you could close like one deal in a year to
Yeah.
like
It's like
50,000.
pulling the slots,
It
right?
is. That's the
Like
way to view it is. And
yeah.
don't view it like, "Oh, I failed. This doesn't work." Feel like you learned something.
That's what it is. It's like, the thing that you gained is that it doesn't work, so don't do that thing again, try something else. And
I
again,
love that, and that's what
you
I
have
wanna tell
over
people is try and also share because all my ideas and all my successes was a collaboration of other ideas that I've had with other people. These are not all my ideas. This is not a trophy. I don't want a trophy. So you're like,
yeah,
"Man, you were on this podcast and you're saying, yeah, because maybe I'll get a couple of calls. We'll talk. I'll learn something. They learn something. We need to make the pie bigger. Don't worry about the slice. The person next to you is not your competition, okay? They're not. Let's work together to win."
yeah. It's funny, I'm gonna end this with this quote that I heard from Mark Cuban. It's very much in line, is he said to somebody, "Would you rather have an entire grape or a piece of a watermelon?"